find joy? It's actually much easier than you think. Studies show that people are 12% more productive if they're doing something joyful. And a Harvard study actually showed that good genes are great and that having joy is even better. People who don't actually think they feel joy just don't know the secret yet. They don't know where to find it. And it's not outside of yourself. I'll give you that hint. The secret is the how to find it, the where to find it is much easier than you realize because it's inside of us, not outside. I believe we look for happiness outside of ourselves. But true joy, that inner joy that we can feel 24/7, if we really can look at life in a different way and look at things that all the experiences are just lessons that we're here to learn. And as we learn those lessons, we move forward and we evolve and grow to be who we're here to be and what we're here to do. I think of the word joy as J-O-Y, the journey of you. And that journey of you is actually inside, as I said, inside our heart. The finding that inner child, not the little child that you grew up as, because a lot of times those were not joyful memories that we have, but the inner joy, the inner child, the inner joy, and the child inside that can actually filter all of that and accept that those are lessons for us. And as we look through things and look at them differently, it's like the glass is half full, not empty, we can look at life differently and see the true joy in every moment of our lives. A friend of mine in the 80s, dear friend who lived across the street, was diagnosed with leukemia. And she had 2 little boys. She was working very hard, very successful, had her PhD, and was going, had an 18-month-old. Her youngest was 18 months old. And she actually was diagnosed and had to make the decision. How does she handle this? What does she do? It took her a while, and she decided, we were in Dallas at the time, she decided to go up to Seattle and go to the Fred Hutch Clinic and have a bone marrow transplant, which is extremely painful, a lot of bone marrow aspirations, which are horrible. And it took her quite a while to heal and get through that. And the blessing in all of this was, luckily a group of us helped with the boys at home and helped her not feel any guilt. She was gone for months, and helped her know that they were safe and taken care of. And anyway, after a few years after her experience, she wrote part of a book. She was in a book called Silver Linings. And she actually wrote about how this leukemia and all that it brought to her was such a blessing on so many levels. So, and I think if you talk to anyone who's had a disease or yourself, you look back and you realize there's so many blessings through all of that, even though at the time it seemed like the most devastating thing that could happen. So there's blessings everywhere to be found. And I think sometimes we have these tough times with money. We think that material things will bring us happiness and joy. And it might do that, especially when we first get the new car or we, buy the new toy we've been wanting. And then we realize that that's just not it. That's just stuff. And so we have to look a little deeper. It's what I believe happens. We get in relationships that we think are going to complete us. And a lot of times they're disappointing. And, that's just how life works. And it's not good or bad. It's just something we have to look further for. Part of it is trusting that process of moving forward and accepting that there is joy to be had. And I want you to, spend some time, let that little child inside of you, spend time and look at how you can grow and evolve and see these blessings. I like to think of it in decades. If you go back in your lifetime and look at your childhood years, and then your teens and your 20s and your 30s and into your 50s, and I'm in my mid-60s now. So look at those decades and look at them and maybe make a list and write down the things that were so traumatic when you were, the things you thought were horrible, traumatic, devastating when you were in your early childhood. A lot of times it's related to parents, what's going on between your parents, the siblings, the rivalry that goes on with that, the school children, the teachers a lot of times. A lot of people just leaving home, the children leaving their moms is really traumatic for them. But look at all that, write that down, and then go into your teens and look at, the relationships and the bullies sometimes, and trying to get good grades and get into a good college, and then getting into college, that whole application process, it can be very devastating. Applying to your dream school and not getting accepted. And then in your 20s, your dream job. If you get your dream job, does it make you happy? I know a lot of accountants who studied accounting in college and then realized they did not want to sit in front of books all day long, the numbers. So they figured out how to get away from that and do something that they did enjoy. And now their lives are full and complete. So there's a lot of us study things in college that have never really benefited us, although they all are part of the process. So then into your 30s, a lot of times people are married by then, starting to have families, realizing it's a lot harder than you think to be in those relationships. The money a lot of times is a struggle. A lot of times health problems start to show up in our 20s and 30s. And then into the 40s and in 50s, a lot of us realize that as we get older and the children are getting grown, those relationships, the marriages weren't successful or weren't benefiting us any longer. And we make that change to go through a divorce, which can be devastating. A lot of times, as I said, health things, financial, all of it. Parents start, there's issues in all kinds of areas of life. And it's just tests, just lessons for us. So go back, make that list, and then go back and look at that list and see objectively what you can see in it. And if you realize that, oh yeah, that was actually a blessing. Oh, not getting into this school was such a blessing because I got into this school instead. And I met these people and they led me to this and then this job. And it's just very interesting to see how the dots all get connected when we do this. A lot of us find that we keep ourselves very busy. We're running from here to there. We're working long hours. We're trying to do what we have to do with our families and not feel guilty about not doing enough. And I was on a lot of board of directors doing a lot of volunteer work while I was working full-time and raising my family. And I realized I was just not happy. So I had to make some changes in my life. And once I did that, things started to change. And I think, though, that a lot of us keep busy because we don't want to look inside. We're afraid what we might find. And as we take time to do that and meditate, spend time in nature. Nature is just so impressive and so amazing. Just watching the flowers grow and watching clouds roll in. Just doing nothing. And a lot of times it's very hard to do that as a busy parent or as a busy employee or having your own business. So if you can make that time, though, I think you'll find that you can be much more productive and much more joyful in your life as you give yourself that time and opportunity and not running around in circles, keeping busy all the time, especially watching TV or doing things that really aren't satisfying in the long run. And if you make your list of the decades, like I said, and list of things, and you can't connect those dots, please let me know, and I'll be happy to sit and we can have a joy call. We can set up a time and discuss, and I bet I can help you find joy that you didn't know was there. It's not that hard to find. As I said, it's really easy. Email me, Adele@AdeleGood.com, and we'll set up something. So please take what I've mentioned at heart and make it a joyful day.